Hi, I'm Beth. Welcome to this Reap Your Harvest yoga practice. So what does reap your harvest mean as it pertains to yoga? Well, if you think about reap your harvest, and it's a perfect time of year, for many of us it's the first day of autumn or fall. Reaping your harvest means gathering your bounty. And in this aspect, I think of noticing the benefits, being aware of the benefits. So that will be our focus today, being aware of the benefits that your yoga practice brings to you. Given that I'm a psychologist, in addition to a yoga teacher, I really stress the mind-body benefits of the practice. So I'll be talking about that throughout today's class. We are going to start in a seated position. If you have a blanket, you might want to sit up on your blanket. It's not necessary, but it can make your seat a little bit more comfortable. We'll be here for a little bit. So find any seat that is comfortable for you. It could be cross-legged like me. If you do a cross leg, it could be a looser cross leg, one leg out, one leg in. That doesn't matter for this opening. We simply want to set ourselves up in a comfortable position, sits bones touching the ground, hands resting lightly, spine upright, crown of the head toward the ceiling or the sky. Your eyes can be open or they can cast down, maybe focusing on a spot a little bit ahead of you, closing if you're comfortable. So we take this moment to pause here. Now this is the very first benefit that yoga can bring to us, is giving ourselves permission to pause. So often we go through our daily lives in this state of autopilot. We're go, 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 one thing to the next. When we take a step back, we create space to be more mindful, to be more aware. Now, in this context, mindfulness simply means choosing to pay attention. We don't always do that. When we brush our teeth in the morning, we're not always choosing to mindfully be aware of each step of that process. Right now we are. We're drawing our attention to the space on our mats, to our bodies sitting here, to this pause that we have carved out. And we'll take a few more moments to focus specifically on the breath. So if you weren't already there, start to draw your attention toward your breath. And I recommend placing a hand somewhere on your body, over your belly button, around your ribs. Maybe one hand on the belly button, one hand on the upper chest. Whatever helps you to feel the breath in your body. And from there, begin to let the inhale and the exhale settle into an even rhythm. So even breath in, even breath out. You need to put maximal effort into this. Perhaps rather than working hard, think about the idea of working easy. As we start to be aware of our breath and let it become a rhythm, we start to relax the body. Another reason why many of us are drawn to yoga. And with this evenness of breath in, evenness of breath out, we begin to bring in some balance. Just a few more breaths like this. If your mind wanders, which it will, so that's normal, don't worry about it. Notice it, that's part of the mindful noticing. And then draw your attention back. You can use your hands as that anchor to remind you, noticing the breath in the body. About 3 more mindful breaths like that. And after your next exhale, if you did have your hands on your body, you can let them come down. We're going to stay seated. If you need to change the cross of your legs, rearrange yourself, go ahead and do that. Another reason a lot of people come to yoga is to get a stretch. So we'll start to explore that. Take your shoulders up in a shrug and let them come down. We'll do this a few times, taking them up. So that's the physical component, right? The physical feeling of stress. As you do this, as you feel the stretch, can you feel any type of emotional release? As you lift your shoulders up, maybe scrunch them around, move your neck around with it. And as you let that go, is there some kind of energy change, some kind of emotional release associated with that? A few more times, and you can add the breath into it too, maybe breathing in as you come up. You can take a big exhale through the mouth as you come down. So that's the mind-body connection. Rarely do we do anything in our body that doesn't affect our emotions, our energy, our thoughts. Once more, this last one, maybe stay up a little bit longer again. You can move around here and explore how this feels. Drawing your attention now, your mindful attention simply draws to your body and the stretch that you're taking. And then the exhale and release. And one more thing seated. We're going to take one arm up out to the side. If you're mirroring me or I'm mirroring you, it'd be your left arm. So arm bent in like a half cactus position. And then from here, take the palm down so that the elbow comes up. And you can lift it up a little higher, as high as is comfortable. We'll begin to circle this arm, this hand around the body, moving it from your left side to reaching out to the right. Bottom hand can just support you wherever. And then starting to slide the palm behind your head. It can even touch your head. Reaching back out to that same side where you started. Get a little reach in that direction. And then bend the arm again. And we'll do this a few more times. So bend, lift the elbow, circle around, reaching to your right side, coming back around your head, sliding the hand along the head, reaching out to the side, and then back to bend. One last time. Elbow up, hand down. So as we do this, we're continuing to get that sense of stretch. Added to that is some feeling mobile in our body, feeling looser in our body. And again, that can be the sense of feeling physically looser, but also starting to get a relaxed feeling to that. Last time, reach. Take the arm down, pause for a moment, and we'll switch to the other side. Other arm up, bend, taking the elbow up, and then sort of swim it around the body, reaching out now to your left side. Hand comes up, slides behind the head, and then reaches back out to the original side. Now, I hear lots of cracks in my shoulder and my neck as I do this. You may too. Reach down and around. Part of that mindful aspect is an awareness of our bodies. So simply noticing what is going on with my body today. What is happening? That might be the first time you ask that question of yourself today. And one last time, reaching the arm around. I'm supporting my bottom hand so that my torso doesn't move around too much. Really just trying to localize this movement in my upper shoulder, my neck. Circling around one last time. And reaching out. And then releasing. And then remember, you can take a moment to pause here. Check back in with yourself, that permission to pause. No need to rush to the next position, next pose. And when you're ready, we're going to come around so that we're on our knees. If you were sitting on a blanket, you can move it out of the way. So as we pause and as we pay mindful attention, we can feel the sensation of going into our body, going inside, becoming more internal and paying attention to what's going there. We can also open up and become more external, become more open across the collarbones, breathe in widely. Those two things will likely help us to feel more rested and feel more energized. We're going to explore that in two poses called child's pose and then sphinx pose. So we'll start seated for child's pose, seated on the heels. The first thing you'll adjust is how wide apart your knees are. If you, as you hinge forward from your hips, you'd like to support your body on your thighs, then your knees will stay relatively close together. If you're feeling a sense of wanting space in your body, and that's usually my own personal preference, open your knees to create space. So wherever you are, knees close together, knees wide, you'll start to walk your hands forward. You'll notice that my hips stay back toward the heels. It's fine for them to come up. They stay back in that direction. My back starts to round. So I'm getting a stretch for my spine as my back rounds. And then I'm going to aim for my forehead coming somewhere down to the mat. I could have my arms right here, bending and resting this way. I could bring the blanket forward and use the blanket. And another option is if your forehead reaches, you may stretch your arms out. Stretching your arms out front or back. So take a few moments here, feel the rounding of your spine, feel how your body can rest here. And then start to shimmy forward, sliding your forearms forward so that your forearms are bent, your elbows are bent, your forearms come all the way under your shoulders. And this is Sphinx pose. I think you can tell that it looks like the classic Sphinx. Now we can adjust here by tucking the toes, making a little more space. If there's any clenching in the back, we can widen the feet a little bit more or move the elbows a little bit further in front of the shoulders. But don't be down here, so not slumping into the arms and shoulders. Press into those forearms, lift the chest up and forward, and that's the energizing part. So feel how as compared to the child's pose, this is stretching across the front body. And maybe as you breathe in, you can feel a sense of energy coming into your body. So the physical stretch combined with what kind of emotional energy is that bringing to you? And then we'll compare this again to child's pose by sliding our hands back, bending the knees one more time, coming back to our preferred position. I'll try it with my knees closer this time just so you can see what that looks like. Hinging forward, sliding your arms forward. Feel free to choose a different arm position. And feeling how being here can let you round and go inside. Drawing your attention, your mind, your focus inside. And then one more time, sliding forward, finding your Sphinx, pressing into your forearms, feeling a sense of width across your collarbones, breathing in fully into your front body. So this is a back bend. Back bend, stretch the front body and strengthen the back body. Breathing in here, continuing with your mindful breath. And then on your next breath, you can use your hands to push yourself up, coming through to all fours. Check my notes here. One last thing we're going to do on the ground, and then we're going to come to standing. So yoga, although it's often seen as a restful practice, it can help us bring strength into our bodies too. We're going to practice a little bit of strength in plank, and then we'll come to standing and do a little bit more strength work. So for plank pose, we'll start in an all fours position with the hands firmly under the shoulders, fingers spread wide, but really give yourself a good support. Press into the hands so that we don't slump the body down, the elbows don't bend. Press into the hands so that we're already calling in lots of strength here. And we're also drawing in the front body, engaging the front body to be strong. And I'm going to take one foot back, toes under. So you can see here how my body is starting to form the top of a push-up position. Now you have the option to do this 1 foot at a time. Keep one knee down and do it 1 foot. That works perfectly. You're still going to build a lot of strength. As I stay here, my arms are really being under demand to have some strength. I'm going to try taking my other foot back to meet the foot. I'm going to take a look. I can take a look at the camera and see, am I forming a long plank position? I'm still able to talk to you, so that shows that I'm not overexerting myself. I'm still able to talk and breathe here. If you get here and this is too much, you're not able to talk comfortably, set both knees down, but make sure that you're not in an all fours position, that your knees are behind your hips like mine are. So you're still in your ramp or slope shape with a knees down version of plank. And then from knees down, you can play with strength by lifting one knee at a time. And again, as you do that, you'll feel your arms having to strongly hold you. You'll feel your front body, your abdominals engage. I'm going to try to lift back up, and I'll try to hold for about 3 more breaths, only taking it to the limits of my own strength for today. So notice how we create strength in the upper body. Yes, we're creating physical strength, but my mind has to tell myself I can get through this. I'm creating some resilience, some sense of endurance, this idea that I'm strong physically and mentally, and then that's enough. So I'll touch my knees down, lock my hands in. We are going to come up to standing. So in that version of plank, it really focused on upper body strength. Now we're going to focus a little on lower body strength. We'll step our feet wide apart. It can feel a little bit uncomfortable to go wide. We really want to try to make them as wide as is comfortable. So you start to feel a little stretch on the inner thighs. Again, that stretch aspect. And moving out of our comfort zone a little bit also adds a growth aspect. So I'll continue to mirror you. Turn your left toes out to the short end of your mat. Your right toes might sneak in a little bit, or your right heel sneaks out a little bit. This is our classic standing position for most of our standing poses. We're going to practice a variation of Warrior 2. So I'm going to keep my hands right on my hips or at the top of my thighs, wherever around here that feels more comfortable for you. We'll start to bend the front knee toward the toes. Go in that direction, settling the knee somewhere over the ankle to where it feels stable. So you might be a little more in or a little bit more out, but you want to feel a place where there's no pain, where this feels really strong. Now, no pain, but there might be some discomfort as your muscles of your hamstrings, your quads maybe start to shake a little bit. That's totally natural and normal. So we're staying. We stay here a little bit, same as we did in plank pose. We stay here and allow ourselves to get strong in our leg muscles, in our hip muscles, and also to endure and know that I can survive this, even if I start to have some shaking in my muscles, some wobbling. And as you get used to something new, as you start to build, as you start to get stronger and go outside of your comfort zone, you might be able to play a little bit with changing that up a little more, maybe moving a little further past your comfort zone. So you might be able to slide your back foot back a little bit more and sink down a tiny bit deeper. No need to go far, and if that's not you today, no need to do it at all. We're just trying to find where our edge is. As you hold a pose for a little longer, like we are in this pose, your edge can change, and that might mean that, okay, I've gotten used to this, it's good, I can go a little deeper, or it might be, whoa, that's really building up, I need to come out of this. So that's part of the mindful checking in with yourself. How about 10 or 15 more seconds here? Continue to breathe. So it's easy for us to get distracted by what we're doing in our bodies, and then the breath is lost. Obviously, we're still breathing, but the mindful connection to the breath is lost. So see if you can bring that back into it, and that might be again and again and again. All right, then we'll straighten up in this front leg. Give yourself a minute or a moment to turn the toes forward. Breathe here. Keep your legs wide. Just breathe. You can return your hands if you'd like, feeling the sensation of breath in your body. Yes, of course, you are always breathing, and yet we're breathing unconsciously, which is a good thing, right? That we breathe unconsciously. Bringing in a mindful aspect helps us give us that benefit of, oh, I can turn my attention from all the things that are distracting me and draw it back in. All those things are still there, and I can draw my attention back in. That's strengthening your ability to be mindful, to attend. All right, other foot out. So if your right foot turns out to the short end of your mat, your left foot can turn in a little bit. And then when you're ready, we'll bend our knee. You can keep your hands on your hips or your thighs, wherever is comfortable. We're not adding the arms into this pose. So you may have seen the traditional version with the arms out. Obviously, if you want to, you can. We're just not going to do that today. We're focusing on the strength that we're building in our legs. You might notice that my torso is right over my hips, so I'm not leaning forward into this pose or going back. Those are different poses. We're staying with a classic Warrior Two legs here. And then you also might notice that my torso is toward you, but my hips are a little bit off on an angle. That's natural. We're not going to be able to square up our hips. That's not how our hips are shaped. There's plenty of stretch and strengthening going on here, and all of those hip flexor muscles and all of those inner thigh muscles. You don't have to pull it past your limits. Never go past your edge. So remember, we explorers were here a little longer. Where is that edge? Did this get too intense? Is my muscles here really screaming at me now, starting to move into pain? No, we don't want that. So that might mean coming out a little bit or maybe all the way. If it's still feeling maybe a little uncomfortable but doable, then maybe slide the feet a little further apart. See if there's any room to sink a little bit more into the posture. Eke out a little bit more strength in your body and sense of endurance. And as you're building the strength in your body, it's obviously in your muscles, but yoga has been shown to improve bone strength too. All right, one more breath here. Wonderful. Then let's push into the feet to come to standing. You can turn all 10 toes forward and give a little scooch, heel toe. Bring your feet in together. Okay, we are going to come back to the floor to finish this practice. So help yourself back down to the floor any way you like. If you were seated on your blanket earlier, you can come and sit back on the blanket again. You can sit exactly how you were sitting before, or you can change it up. So we'll finish where we started, which is really nice for a practice. If you're doing this practice at the time of the equinox, even day, even night, coming back to where we started the practice is a nice way to conclude. Finding that pause once again. You may feel like you finished the work part of the practice, you're ready to run off the mat. Allow yourself to still be here and pause. Remember, you can soften your gaze over the tip of your nose, looking a little in front of your mat, or you might choose to close your eyes here. We'll return the attention to the breath. You can place your hands on your body, again, if you'd like, and remember, over the lower torso, upper torso, ribs, wherever helps give you a sensation of, I can feel the breath, I feel it coming in, to feel more connected to the breath. We'll add one last element to finish. So we'll start with that even breath in, even breath out, that balanced breath that we did at the beginning. And then to encourage the physical relaxation of the body, we'll start lengthening the exhale part of the breath. So you breathe in naturally as you've been doing. And as you exhale, allow the exhale to extend just a little bit longer. For some people, it helps to count. So you might breathe in and count wherever the natural length of your inhale comes to. It might be something like in, 2, 3. And then as you breathe out, extend that out, 2, 3, 4, maybe 5. As I said in the beginning, we don't want to put a huge amount of effort into this. We want to take our mind, our attention to the breath, a little bit of effort, a comfortable level of effort. If it is comfortable, you might extend the exhale twice as long as the inhale. The extended exhale actually helps to activate your parasympathetic nervous system. That's your PNS, and that's the part of your nervous system responsible for the rest and digest mode. So opposed to that fight, flight, or freeze mode that we're often in, we get revved up, we're often in the state of physiological and psychological excitement in our body. The rest and digest mode is what helps us calm down, to release, to rest. And ultimately, I think that is what brings many of us to a yoga practice, is to find some comfort in our bodies, find some relaxation, and be able to rest. So along those lines, I wanted to share a quote to finish today's practice. This is from Bernie Clark. He's a yin yoga teacher. He's also written a lot about yoga and anatomy. So Bernie Clark said, there are two main reasons to do a yoga practice: to become healthier or to master postures. So think about that for a moment. Are you here to be more healthy, or are you here to perfect and master a certain yoga pose? I think if you're here, you've chosen my channel, it's the former. You want to be more healthy in your mind, in your body, and in your emotions. So I hope today's practice brought something to you, brought that sense of balance, that sense of benefits, that sense of reaping your harvest on your yoga mat. If that's what you want from your practice, I'll link to some more practices up here that you can try. Thank you so much for joining me for this practice. Take these benefits off the mat and have a great rest of your day.